morning. Thank you so much for joining me on your mat this morning. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a beginner's class. So for people who don't have a lot of yogic experience or maybe none at all, this will be a nice little introduction, something that you can do to get your body moving, but you don't need to have that wealth of knowledge already stashed. So let's begin in a seated position. This can be anywhere on your mat. Usually in the class we start facing forward, but we're in our own homes, so you can do whatever you want. You have an option to sit cross-legged like this, or this is called Thunderbolt, where you're sitting on your heels like that, or I like to tuck my toes like that. So start seated and close your eyes. At this part of the class, we like to take an opportunity to acknowledge the fact that we might be experiencing a lot of emotions before we've gotten to our mat, whether that's stress, excitement, nerves, whatever it might be. Just taking an opportunity to name those feelings, name those emotions, and consciously let them go. So if we're avoiding those thoughts and avoiding that concept that maybe we're stressed, then it's going to be really hard to allow ourselves to move past those feelings. So we just like to take a moment here to, one, let go of everything that happened before we were right here. Sometimes that can be a physical let go, where you imagine yourself holding on to that feeling and then physically letting it go. Once we've done that, we like to bring ourselves to a place of acknowledgement of why we're here. What's our intention? So for myself, there's a lot of reasons. I'm here for a little bit of mental relaxation. I want an opportunity to take a deep breath and reset and come back to mindfulness, connect with my breathing, connect with my body in a way that's very internal. And I also want an opportunity to move my body. So those two things tell me for my first goal, have to really try to be mindful of what I'm giving energy to. And two, my goal to engage my body. I have to remember that this is a workout and that sitting into a posture lazily isn't going to give me what I'm here to receive. So these two opportunities we have to, one, let go of the things that happened before here, and then set an intention for why we're here, are very important. So as we're finishing up with that, we start to plug into our breathing. So what that means is before we were here, we were breathing normally. We weren't even thinking about it likely. So now we're going to start plugging in, paying attention to our breath, because yoga is very breath oriented. Every movement deserves its own breath. So as we inhale, air comes through our nose. Our lips are sealed the whole time. We're not panting. We're very intentionally slowing our breath and allowing it to come back. So inhaling is very intentional. You'll hear the word ujjayi. It's a type of breath work. It basically means that when you're breathing in, your throat is constricting and you're hearing almost, we call it oceanic, maybe Darth Vader is how some instructors note it, but if you listen, the breath is swirling up here in the top of your throat. So that happens through a gentle constriction. Like if you were talking and you wanted to talk like this, it's almost that kind of motion. So consider that while you're breathing. Inhale and exhale should sound the same. They should last the same amount of time. So that's what we mean when we say we're plugging into our breath. So now that we've let go, now that we've set our intention, now that we're starting to pay attention to our breath, we're going to inhale really, really deeply and exhale one big, big open mouth. Once more, inhale and open mouth, exhale, sigh. And now maybe you lick your lips to seal and you come back to your ujjayi breath. So we're going to start in tabletop. This is all fours. Hands are shoulder width, knees are hips width, feet are either tops flat or toes tucked, whatever's comfortable and serves you. And we're just gonna start with some gentle motions here. So on our inhale, we're gonna gently lift our chest through our shoulders, drop our waist down, arch our backs, lift our tailbone, and lift the crown of our head in our cow pose. So picture that old cow out in a field with a big sway back. We're doing this energetically. So as we do every posture, we're not just crunching our spine or our body into a posture. We're squeezing our abs and we're guiding this movement. We're using our muscles to make the motion, not using our leverage and spine to smash ourselves. So inhale here and exhale, opposite motion. We're rounding our back into our cat. You're a very, very scared Halloween cat. And here, we're using our belly buttons. We're squeezing in our abs and we're pushing our belly buttons as close to our spine as we can. We're not just using the tops of our spines and pulling up. We're really using those muscles to engage. Here, our head and neck relax. And then inhaling, lifting back up into our cow. Heart's chest shines open through our shoulders, through the gates of our shoulders. And exhale, rounding. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. You're gonna go through this a couple more times on your own breath. Inhaling your cow. And we inhale here because an inhale creates length. An exhale creates space. So this inhale, we're lengthening our spine. We're stretching long and straight. And exhale, we're creating space so we can really fold. That's how the breath is connected to our body. You can consider that in any posture. An inhale creates length, and an exhale creates space so you can find more depth. And when we're ready, sitting back into child's pose, bums either on our heels, knees spread either wide, narrow, whatever serves and feels good. And then I like to take my fingertips and just pull my upper body a little bit farther before I relax down in my child's pose. I get a nice sensation of stretch in my lower back that way. So sitting here for a moment, we're really even here engaging. So our shoulders are engaged, plugging in. Our core is still here. Our head and neck is relaxed. And then we're going to walk our hands over to the right. So allow your hand to come off the mat. Right hand down first, left hand on the top. And we're going to relax here for a second. The tendency is to try to maintain as much, or the tendency is to try to go really, really far, and our side body opens up. But what you have to remember in yoga is that a really deep, full expression doesn't necessarily mean it's doing the right thing for your body. So we want to try to maintain that right side body is this left side body isn't lifting off the ground, but we're instead allowing ourselves to flatten, and we're feeling that stretch all the way through the side of our left. So inhaling here and remembering that same breath work that we did in cat and cow, our inhale allows us to stretch a little bit longer, make a little bit more space in between every vertebrae, and that happens very mindfully. And the exhale allows us to, again, fall a little bit deeper, find a little less distance between the left side body and the ground, trying to flatten yourself out. And then walking your hands back to the center, taking a moment here. And then coming over to the left, same as you were. Hand comes off the mat slightly, and right hand stacks on top of the left. And again, our tendency is to try to make as much of an arch as possible, try to get that left hand as far over as possible, but we only want to be as far as our now right side body can find the ability to relax down. Inhaling, lengthening that spine. And exhale, allowing yourself to relax just a little bit deeper. Allowing that right side body to fall a little closer to the ground. Maybe noticing some tension in the hips and allowing that to just relax. And when you're ready, coming back to center and sitting here for just a moment. Coming back up to all fours, we're going to take a moment here, flip our feet, and we're going to slowly come back into our first downward dog. So let's talk down dog for a second here. You'll see all the beautiful Instagram yogis with a very nice straight V. Their backs are so straight, their legs are so straight, they're making this gorgeous triangle. And bear in mind, you might want to try to get your feet on the ground. You want to get those legs straight. But if it's coming at a detriment of your upper body, then you need to surrender your heels and your knees. So to maintain that flat back and those engaged shoulders, this is our most priority area, our line from our hands to our hips. This is where structure should maintain its integrity as far as straightness. So first we work here. And then that might mean that we're really bending our knees or lifting our heels, and that's totally fine. Slowly, you might find a straightness in your legs, not a lock, but a straightness. And then eventually the heels might come down to the ground. And that might not happen in today's class, that might happen this year. Every body is different, but we have to fight for the right things. So in this posture, we're really trying to aim to have hands to hips, being that strong piece of structure, and then allowing that give to happen in our knees and our heels. And even if you are very flexible and this comes easy to you, taking a softness in your first couple down dogs is totally acceptable. You should be kind to your body so that it's kind to you. Relaxing your head and neck here. On your next inhale, looking up. And on an exhale, slowly walking our feet up to our hands. And again, this might mean that knees are really bent. That's totally okay. We're going to take our feet hip width apart. And we're just going to ragdoll here for a moment. That means we're just relaxed. We're a little ragdoll. Maybe swaying back and forth. Finding some relaxation in that lower back. And then we're slowly going to start rolling up. And so rolling, we're just going to go from the very lowest point of our body and let it roll first. So first it comes from our hips and then through our lower back, and we're really taking a lot of time as we roll up until our head, crown of our head's the last thing. Our shoulder blades roll back and we're at this beautiful standing posture. So now that we're at the top of our mat, we're going to just start moving through a couple gentle vinyasas. So that's just the sun salutation that you see. So we're going to start here in standing in mountain, in Tadasana. And we're going to engage our legs. So it starts at the toes. There's a couple different schools of thought. I go with the Ashtanga way. Big toes are just touching and heels are just slightly apart. Toes lift and then each toe plants down. So again, we're talking a lot of muscular energy. That means that you have to engage all of those muscles. They're not going to engage for you. So we take our toes, we lift them, we separate them, and we plant them down. We squeeze our calves. We have them externally rotating. So what that means is if, let's say you had a little string pulling the inside of your legs out. So you're really trying to squeeze those muscles. So you're really rotating. Your quads are turned on. Your pelvis isn't arched. You've got that tailbone tucked. So that flattens out your body. That engages your core the right way. You're not just arching and putting unnecessary strain on your lower back. Everything's engaged. Our core is engaged all the way up. Our chest is open. Our shoulders are back and down. And we inhale with strong arms. And we reach up tall, maintaining all of that structural integrity. And then we exhale. Hands come down to the earth and we forward fold. Again here, just like in the downward dog, the place that we're going to give is our knees. So instead of just rounding our backs to try to find the earth, bend your knees to where you have a lot of beautiful structure still here. Inhaling, finding the shins with our hands, lifting halfway up. And then exhale, the hands plant next to the feet. Again, bending our knees if we have to. And we find the back of our mat where we're in our high plank. And on that same exhale breath, we lower to our knees and then all the way down to our bellies. Inhale, the hands stay here, right next to your ribs. And we slowly lift, not push, very important distinction. We lift our chests gently off the mat. And then from there, flipping our toes back. We're going to come back to our knees on our exhale, pushing back into downward dog. Again, observing this downward dog and giving where we ought to. Not forcing our bodies to look a certain way. Yoga molds to fit your body. Your body doesn't mold to fit yoga. And again, coming back into that ujjayi breath if you've lost it. We're here for 3 breaths. On your next inhale, looking up towards your hands. And on your exhale, bringing your feet up to the front of the mat, taking as many steps as you might need to. And again, big toes to touch, heels slightly separate. Inhale, finding the shins with the hands, we lift up halfway. Exhale, we fold forward as deeply as is comfortable. Head and neck relaxes. Inhale, we lift all the way up, hinging from the hips. Inhaling up tall, hands reach up. And exhale, hands come back to heart center in front of your chest. And again, maintaining all of that structural integrity. Takes a lot. It's a lot of things to be thinking about. But as you move through over the practices, over the years, it'll all become more natural. And you might not get all of it at once. In fact, you probably won't get all of it at once. But it's good to start paying attention to maybe picking a thing. Like, I find that tailbone tuck so important. Maybe focus on that today. Inhale, we're going to move through 2 more of those. I'm not going to give as much instruction. 1 movement, 1 breath. Inhale, lifting arms up. Exhale, folding forward. Hands find the earth, soft bend in the knees. Inhale, hands find the shins, lifting up halfway with a flat back. Exhale, hands at feet. Feet step back into a high plank, onto our knees, slowly lowering to our bellies. Inhale, lifting up through our chest into cobra. And exhale onto our knees and then up off into downward dog, staying here for 3 breaths. A couple little adjustments you can make here in downward dog, maintaining that your hands are plugged into the earth as properly as possible. So that means that the heels of your hand aren't taking all of the weight. The fingertips aren't taking all the weight, but you're trying to balance on the surface tension of water. You're spread out as evenly as possible. Every single point of contact in your hand, your knuckles, your fingertips, the palm of your hand are all balanced evenly. And on your next exhale, slowly coming back to the top of your mat. Inhaling, hands meet the shin, lifting up with a flat back halfway. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive, hinging at the hips. Arms reach up tall. And exhale, hands reach heart center. Inhale, last one. Hands reach up tall, extending from the crown of your head. Exhale, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Hands meet the earth. Inhale, lifting halfway up, flat back. Exhale, hands reach the ground, feet step back. Maybe this time we stay off of our knees and we lower all the way down onto our bellies. Inhale, lifting, lifting, not pushing. Exhale, coming back into downward dog. And sitting here for 3 breaths. Now we moved our body a little bit. This is a great opportunity to start feeling in this downward dog rest moment what might be changing. Do you feel a little bit of loosening in your hamstrings? Is this maybe really straining on your upper body? If so, feel free to always take child's pose and let those body parts rest that might not be used to this kind of movement. On your next inhale, looking up at the top of your mat. And exhale, bringing the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, lifting up with a flat back. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, lifting all the way up high. And exhale, hands to heart center. All right, inhale, reaching up tall. Where fingertips are gonna touch the earth as we sit back into chair, Utkatasana. So for this posture, it's kind of like well, I don't know if it's like a squat. I'm not a squatter. So you can see your toes past your knees. That means that your knees aren't covering your toes like that. That means that you're sitting back. You could lift your toes off the ground right now because a lot of the weight is on your heels. And again, we're not arching our back. We're maintaining that tucked tailbone. And we're trying to sit down and deep as far as we can. And the arms reach up. Inhale here. Exhale, sit a little bit deeper. Inhale. And exhale a little bit deeper. Inhaling and exhaling, folding forward. Good job. Inhale, lifting halfway up. And exhale, just the right foot is going to step back. We're going to let that right foot fall at a 45-degree angle. And that front foot is going to stay facing forward. And we're going to inhale here, lifting up into Warrior One. And now for Warrior One, the hips want to open up to the side, but we're fighting to keep them square towards the front of our mat. That means that you might have to narrow your stance a little bit, and that's totally okay. My hips aren't very open, so I can't take a very wide stance here because you're fighting a couple things. Trying to keep those hips facing forward, but then you're also trying to maintain that your lower back isn't just arching. So here, finding some peace. Arms reach up tall, shoulders plug in. That means that they're not lifting up like you're just shrugging. It means that your shoulders are down and your armpits are facing forward. Inhale. And on your next exhale, we're opening up into Warrior Two. So our stance might widen a little bit here as our hips are now able to open up facing the side of the room, side of the house, wherever you are. And again, we're dropping deeply. So the goal is to have a 90-degree bend in that front leg. And here our hips open and arms go out. Again, rolling back, maintaining that pelvic tilt. And our gaze shoots right down our middle finger. Really using the breath to slow down the heart. And when we're ready, exhale, our hands are going to cartwheel down to the ground. Our right foot's going to lift back up off, and our left foot is going to step back into our high plank. We're going to lower here and hover for just a moment before we find our bellies, lifting up into Cobra. Exhale, pushing back into Downward Dog. And this time, our left foot's going to spiral down. Our right foot is going to find our front feet as we lift up into Warrior One on the opposite side. And again, taking all those principles, maintaining that tucked tailbone, trying to get as deep as you can in that right leg while maintaining the integrity of your lower back and your hips. Core is engaged. Armpits, shoulders, arms, hands, they're all working. This is hard work for me. So you should be working hard. If you're just lazily sitting in it and you're not feeling any kind of engagement or any kind of workout, then you need to start squeezing those muscles. Yoga comes from inside yourself. It doesn't come from lifting something heavy. You have to engage. You're pulling your feet back together. You're squeezing, you're wrapping your muscles around your bones, trying to squeeze the marrow out. And on an exhale, we're opening up into Warrior Two. Again, finding a little bit more length in our stance possibly. Our hips open towards the side of the room, shoulders drop, and our gaze is over that middle finger. And on your next exhale, hands cartwheel down, finding the ground. Right foot steps back into our high plank. And we're going to stay here in our high plank for just a moment. And then lower down onto our bellies. Good job. Inhaling, lifting up. Exhale, back in a downward dog. And sitting here to catch your breath for just a moment. Finding child's pose if that serves you. And inhale, finding plank. We're going to work on our side plank for a second here. So slowly shifting onto the edges, left side of the left foot, left side of the right foot. And then we're slowly going to find our balance, our stacking over that left hand. So shoulder stacks over the elbow, stacks over the wrist. There's a couple modifications here. You can take this right foot and set it in front of you to give yourself a little bit of balance. You can drop the left knee and make it a modify that way. Whatever feels good for your body. Just so long as you can feel some engagement happening. Inhale here. And exhale. Bringing the hands slowly back to the ground. Twisting back onto the balls of the feet. And then dropping to the right side of those feet. Again, stacking shoulder over elbow over wrist. Finding whatever modification served you, whether it was on your knee, whether it was left foot in front, whatever makes this posture accessible to you. And in side plank, we're pulling that hip up. We're not dropping it. We're really trying to maintain as much engagement as we possibly can, like a string is pulling us up. And exhale, hand finds the ground as we slowly lower onto our bellies. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale back into down dog or child's pose for just a moment. Taking 3 breaths here. And when you're ready, we look up towards our hands. Our right leg lifts up tall. And then we step it through our hands. And we're going to stay here now in this lunge. This is a great opportunity for you to grab a blanket or a towel or double up your mat because we're going to move on to our knee. So I've got this towel here. And we're going to drop onto the left knee. And sitting up tall, we're going to stay here for a moment. We're going to engage that core so that pelvis is tilting, not to create an arch, but to create structure. And that should immediately turn on and engage all of this muscle in your left leg. So that quad, you can start feeling a stretch. Your IT band maybe a little bit. And staying here. Maybe hands reach up tall. And exhale, hands reach the earth. Foot lifts off the ground. And, oh, I'm sorry, no. Knee stays down. And we sit back into this half split. So this might look very, 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 very gentle of a straighten for you. This might not look like a full half split, but the goal is to keep our toes pointed and to sit back as far as we can. We're gonna feel that stretch. I feel it all the way from my Achilles up through the back of my leg, up through the back of my lower back. It's a very intense stretch. And inhale, coming back to center, hands reaching the earth. And we step back, back into downward dog. Left leg lifts up tall. And we slowly step it towards the hands, getting our towel or doubled mat ready for the other knee. We lower our right knee and sit up tall in this first modified lunge. And again here, we're engaging all that stuff. We're finding that pelvic tilt that turns on and stretches the quad and the IT band. Our cores are working, our legs are pulling together. Maybe inhaling the arms up tall. And exhale, hands reach the ground, and we let our toes lift off the ground as we start to straighten that left leg. Left toes are pointed. Trying to not fold over our leg with a rounded back. Instead, we're keeping a flat, straight back. That means that we might be far away from our leg, and that's okay. But we're engaging the stretch that way. You are just, what is up with you today? And then bending that knee, planting those hands and stepping back into your high plank. We're going to lower through vinyasa if you feel like that would be a good plan for you. Inhaling up through upward dog and exhaling back into downward dog. Finding a seat here. Good job, you guys. Gotta check the watch because I tend to try to make these really long. This is a little short one for you guys. All right, legs are gonna extend out in front of us. We're gonna inhale up tall. Exhale, grab the shins, the feet, the toes, whatever you can with a flat, straight back, maybe bent knees. We're just gonna slowly fold forward. Inhale, looking up. Exhale, coming back. Now we're gonna lay all the way down on our backs. And we're gonna do a little supine twist. So left leg flat on the ground, right leg comes up, and we're going to cross that foot over the leg. So this right foot finds a place on the outside of the left knee. We're gonna take our left hand on top of our knee and exhale. Allow our left or our right knee to fall to the left side. Our gaze is going to go to the right if that feels comfortable on the neck. And here we're making sure that our right shoulder is staying planted to the ground. Inhaling here. And exhale. And on your next inhale, allowing all of that to come right back up to center, straightening out your right leg. This time, left leg lifts up. Left foot finding a place on the outside of the right knee. Right hand goes on top of the left knee as we allow that left knee to come all the way over to the right side of your mat. Left arm stretches out. Left shoulder blade reaches for the ground, doesn't come off the ground. Inhaling here and exhale. Your next inhale coming back to center. And from here, we're going to take our knees into our chests. We're going to squeeze them really tight. Maybe grab the outside edges of the feet, opening up into dead bug or happy baby. For this, we're pulling very gently on our feet to encourage our knees towards the ground. Maybe rocking back and forth, massaging the lower back. And then bringing those knees back in, squeezing them tight, and exhaling into your Shavasana, your resting pose. And this might seem like a very unnecessary part of your practice, but I assure you it is. Allowing your body and your nervous system a chance to relax, just like you've had a chance to engage. It needs a chance to come down from all of that before you immerse yourself back into your day. And so taking an opportunity here to go through each of your body parts and just thoughtfully letting them go and relaxing. So looking at your big toes and thinking, is there tension there that I can let go? Then moving all the way up your body, doing that same thing. And then as soon as you're done with that, allowing your thoughts to just drift. A practice I really, really like to incorporate into my meditation or my Shavasana is the internal repetition of the mantra, so and hum. It means I am this. So on your inhale, and your just natural inhale breath, because we've let go of our breath work, you think so. You really form that word as much as you can. And on your exhale, you think hum. It really helps me quiet my thinking. And I find it really, really, really valuable in coming into a meditative state. So, hum. And when you're ready with eyes closed, you're going to stretch out long. Start waking up your fingertips and toes. And you're going to roll over to your right side or your left side, cushioning your head with an arm, keeping your eyes closed, staying relaxed. And when you're ready, with eyes closed, finding a seated position, and taking a moment here before jumping back into your day to say thank you to yourself. Might sound silly, but gratitude is one of the most important things in mindfulness. Really taking an opportunity here. It's a big deal that you carved out time for yourself. It's not something that you should just push away as just another thing. It's hard. So thanking yourself here, maybe thinking of a couple things that you're grateful for today. They might be little, might be the sun, might be an opportunity to see a friend on FaceTime. And I'm going to close out with one Om. It's a great way to massage your whole nervous system. It's not a weird culty thing. It's just an awesome tool to be able to vibrate your whole body. So on an inhale, taking as much air in as you can. Thank you so much for practicing today. It's totally worth it. All right, have a beautiful rest of your day.